Many companies in New Mexico receive tax credits and other subsidies meant to fuel the economy by creating jobs. But how are they held accountable? According to Good Jobs First, a nonprofit, nonpartisan research center based in Washington, D.C., New Mexico received a grade F on a new report on transparency of economic subsidies. Unlike some states that have websites showing which companies receive tax dollars, New Mexico doesn't disclose those figures. Philip Matera from Good Jobs First says that should be the responsibility of state agencies.
There are different kinds of subsidies. For example, in New Mexico, we looked at 5 major programs. One of them is the film tax credit, which has grown quite large. It now costs over $77 million a year. We looked at something called the High Wage Jobs Tax Credit. We looked at the Industrial Revenue Bond Program, which is actually a vehicle for giving big property tax breaks. We looked at the Manufacturers Investment Tax Credit, and we looked at tax increment development districts. And usually it's a state agency that is involved in either giving a kind of a special discretionary deal to a particular company, or in creating a program that various companies can qualify for. So it's really state agencies that have the responsibility, we think, to disclose this information to the public and to put it online.
Aaron Eccleston from the New Mexico Public Interest Research Group says they would also like to see more transparency on subsidies given out to private companies. They would like to see it on a website that taxpayers can access.
Mostly we're looking for online reporting of these subsidies, and the more company-specific, the better. So when a state is awarding a company a subsidy for the work that they're doing to create jobs in the state, we want to be able to see online what company is getting the subsidy, what the process was for the company to get the subsidy, to ensure that there's good competition in awarding of contracts. And then also, what the benchmarks were, what the goals were that the company said that they were going to accomplish, and for there to be reporting on the actual results, and so whether or not those companies did follow through with what they said that they were going to do.
One reason there isn't disclosure of public money spent for private companies is because of the confidentiality agreement meant to protect taxpayers from having their payment history public. Since some of the subsidies come in the form of tax credits, this information would have to be disclosed in order to track the money awarded. Eccleston, however, doesn't believe there is a conflict.
I don't actually believe that there is much of a problem with confidentiality of taxpayer information. Mostly because this does happen in other states. We're seeing reporting in other states where, you can actually find company-specific information on which companies are receiving the subsidies, how much money, what they're going to, and what's the performance and what's the result. And so I don't actually think that it does have any conflict with taxpayer confidentiality. However, the state of New Mexico does actually have a stipulation about protecting taxpayer information, and because of a very a loophole on what this law is supposed to actually protect. And so the problem is that because the taxpayer is a little bit broad in definition, that it does actually protect the companies and their confidentiality.
New Mexico may have gotten an F on the report, but other states like Illinois did well. How are they doing it differently? Matera explains.
And these are states that have dedicated websites that are set up, where they give, comprehensive information on which companies are getting which kinds of subsidies, how much they're getting, and also they're reporting on outcomes. They're reporting on how many jobs the companies are creating. They're reporting on the wage rates in those jobs so that taxpayers know, whether the money is being used to create good jobs or, substandard jobs, things of that sort. We also give high points to states that make the information easy to find. I mean, there are some states that report this but put it in such obscure places that no one would ever find it. So we believe that the data should be comprehensive, but it should also be accessible and reasonably easy to use.
Philip Matera from Good Jobs First. I'm Rachel Kennedy for KSFR News.